All right, it's going on YouTube. It's going to be Darius coming to Pinku Style Podcast. It's going to be episode number 122. Got my guy Darius Ellis here. One thing before we get into it, man, Darius, man, thanks for your time. We've been linking up. We've been kind of talking for the last 2 weeks about getting this done and everything, man. So just like before I get into it, man, how's everything going out there? How you doing? How's COVID and all that stuff going for you, man?
Yeah, it's going all right. Yeah. I kind of feel a little way right now, but we'll get through it. Probably allergies, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt, man. It's just cool. It's just cool to, like you say, finally get up with you, man. Because again, we've been kind of linked up. Like I think we met back in like 2000, I'll say 2015, 16, something like that. And because it was at and like I'll get into a story, man, right away, man. The way we met, man, was like I like didn't even talk to you at first because you were like in the smoke pit. And I just heard you rapping, like you were like just spitting knowledge to the guys, and you're like, I think around this time, this is when vape started, like I guess started really hitting off, and then like you were just telling the guys with the different flavors how to make their own stuff and everything, and everybody else was kind of like, you know what I mean? I was like, then you were talking about some other stuff, and I was like, this guy's a little bit different and stuff, man. As far as like, you know, the mindset of most guys in the aspect of the military where they just wake up and do the normal grind and then that's it. And everything, man. So I was like, man, I gotta talk to this guy. And every time we talked, it was always like business oriented, man. So I was like, this guy is definitely different, man. So before we get into the deep stuff, man, what got you into like the business mindset and everything, as far as like, you know, you knew it was more than you were getting and everything.
I think I always been kind of entrepreneurial, like cutting grass back in the day. I had a door-to-door sales job at one point. I started my own computer. You can call me and I'll help you with your computer at night or whatever. I did that for a little while. People was calling me at night, taking advantage of my time. But I think I kind of always been that way, trying to see certain opportunities or whatnot. I just didn't really know how to go about it,
Yeah.
But around the time we met, I think that's when it started kind of like making sense to me, Like you said, when I was in the smoke pit, it's funny because right before I got to, Masawa, I was in Korea, and that's when I saw my first vape ever. I was there an entire year, and that last week, I saw somebody vaping on what looked like an impact driver. It was just this big thing, and he was just smoking and puffing on it, right? And then, so I saw it, thought nothing of it. Then I get to Masawa, and the entire smoke pit is vaping. Yeah. I'm like, okay, it's something to this, right? And so, I mean, eventually what happened was I literally just went home and, looked up vape juice, found this company, hit their contact inbox and asked if they offer wholesale. And they sent me a catalog and it was a wrap. Like
that easy, man. It's like that. It's crazy, man, how the idea, like it's the technology, man, so many guys use it the wrong way. And it's like you send out an email, you probably like they probably not gonna email me back and it's in your catalog. So that tells you out there, man, how many like the guys who like, always I don't really like talk about business too much, but I mean, that's how we kind of met. But a lot of guys don't understand how easy it is to kind of get the ball rolling, man, and stuff like that, man. So like, are you still active or are you out?
I'm still active.
Okay. So yeah, man. So but at the same time, man, it's still like you're active duty, but you're doing all your stuff you got to do out there, but you're still putting time into like your actual grind, man, which is a cool thing. A lot of people don't do that. And, they kind of like just wake up and do I'm going to do PT, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to go home and drink and that's it. And that's not, the government's going to get theirs out of you. That was my idea.
Right.
So you got to utilize them and maximize their, your available time and funds to push it up, man. So are you planning, how many years you been in the military so far, man?
About 15.
15. So you gonna finish up?
Yeah. My dad.
Yeah.
Gotta get that retirement.
Yeah, you got you. Yeah, you're at 15, man. I would be at 16 now if I was still in, and I got out at 6 years and 1 month. I got out because I did Palace Chase and everything. Because I already had my thing. My mind was already rolling. And because I was first term, I was like, man, I'm not. If I was 15, I would have actually. I'm right. You're there already, man. You're 5 years away, man. Might as well go ahead and get it. Then get the VA, and you got like X amount of dollars coming in per month that you can flip that into whatever. So that's why I got out because I was already here. My network was really big already, and And also after my third tour in Iraq, man, I was like, I'm good, man. So yeah, it was. So when you go ahead.
And I was like, then seeing you on the line, like loading the, it was like, oh man, like I heard about you, you was drifting and everything. Like, it was, admirable. We in Japan,
yeah,
my man, Drift King, so
yeah, man. So, it was it was definitely, out there was cool because that was actually my second spot from the first spot. When I got out, I was working at the PAX terminal, and that was you were making less than E1, straight up. So it went from staff with cola to less than E1. So I dealt with it, man, and I think that's the thing. A lot of guys don't really kind of set themselves up for or accept. It's going to suck in the beginning. And now I'm at the 5th year of business now. You know what I'm saying? And it's still. It's better, but it's still like a little bit of things there. But it takes about 10 years to iron out everything, and that's more so getting all your other not so much your operation, but the others you deal with. So I've been through like some companies I deal with now that I didn't deal with before, and then some companies I dealt with before. It's like they make a lot of money and they kind of relax. I'm like, dude, I can't relax, man. I need. You got the parts. I need the parts. This and this, and they like, oh, I'm in the keys on this one. Like, all right, cool, congratulations, man. But I gotta find a new partner because I ain't on that.
That's the beauty of it. Yeah. That's the beauty of it, right? Yeah. You can pick and choose who you want to deal with.
Yeah.
Who you want to give your time.
Yeah.
Like.
And when it comes down to us too, as far as the entrepreneurs, single guys, man, it's like the same thing for customers, and I think that's the biggest thing for business guys. Business people understand there's different like customer that's not an entrepreneur or a multi, whatever corporation or runner, they see all businesses as the same when that's not the case. So a lot of customers are not educated on, this business does that, this business does this. So in Masawa, man, you should see I'll be turning dudes away because I'm like, nah, man, this is what I provide, and I don't stray away from that because this is what I do. I don't do life insurance. I build engines. You know what I'm saying? So they'll be like, hey, man, could you do a life insurance policy for me? I'm like, nah, man, I don't. It's not what I know what it is. I know how it works relatively, but that's not what I do, man. So for you, man, once you get out and everything, man, like what's your plan on everything as far as like the first year, like I say like the first 5 years when you get out, man, what's your plans?
So right now I'm trying to have it so that we could actually kind of like travel, that first couple of years that I'm out.
Yeah.
And then I think from there, I kind of want to get into helping others kind of like see my perspective and my point of view,
right?
As it pertains to passive income, and not having to have a boss,
Yeah.
If I do everything right, I'm not working for anybody ever again.
Gotcha.
Yeah. My time will be spent, enriching the lives of others, making sure I extend my family's legacy,
Right.
So
speaking on that, so like go ahead and expand on it, man, because I mean this is a long format, man. So what is your perspective on the passive income and how guys can make it happen for them in this day and age with all the technology we got?
Yeah. So yeah, like I get it. Like it doesn't seem like it's real.
Right.
It's like a buzzword. People say, passive income, and then the closest you think you ever really get to it is somebody trying to pitch, multi-level marketing to you. And I think there's money to be made there, but it still is not as tangible as creating your own thing,
right,
and getting all of the money from that.
Mm-hmm.
As simple as some vape juice where I get it at wholesale price and resell it for resale price. I'm getting that whole thing, not like a little percentage to where it doesn't make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one weekend I first started selling vape juice, I made all of my money back, the $500 that I started with back in that one weekend, and still have plenty more left, So like we definitely really live in the best time to be alive. Like straight up. Like if you don't have any money right now, you're lazy.
Yeah.
Like you're lazy and unmotivated, right? For real. Because you could do Uber Eats, Grubhub, Amazon Flex. Ask me how I know about them. I've done them with a full-time job. You feel me? Like, and I've seen people do those jobs too that had suits on coming from their corporate job. So there's a part there that's like the humility,
Mm-hmm.
humility, and not being too good for certain things. You just gotta grind,
Yeah.
and then the money that you have coming in from whatever it is, instead of going to spend it on like silly stuff, actually spend that money, save it, and invest it in something that makes you more money. And it's essentially as simple as that. Like it's almost like just pretty much going through life in levels and the time that it takes, right? Most people looking for the quick,
Yep.
like the quick money, right? And if they don't see it, then they quit and go back to what they was doing. But it is truly just like you do these things, you have this mindset, and you set it and forget it, and then you'll look back at your bank account and you got some money sitting there, and now you can run a play,
Right.
Whether it be getting into property ownership, which somebody said that having a roof over your head will never go out of style. Right. So in that sense, you buy you some property, get you some tenants. That's passive income right there. It's not going anywhere. You need a place to live. I was talking to a guy earlier today, and I told him like I'll just reference the chart real quick. That the hierarchy of needs. Food, shelter, and everything else that falls under that. As long as you got a business that caters to something in that chart, you'll be fine.
Right.
The research has already been done. We make stuff harder than what it is. But again, like touching on like you got real estate and everything that comes with it. All of the countless franchises and businesses that you see around. I love being in Japan just for that point, right? So in America, it's all about big business. Big business. Even us, we don't necessarily trust small businesses, and we talk about their services and how they provide it, right? But you go to Japan, it ain't nothing but small business and self-employed people. That I love that so much when I was there. So I kind of like came back with the spirit of an immigrant, to do the things in America that I guess we take for granted.
Yeah.
And the people like they really like work hard to get to America to do these things. So that's kind of like the perspective I took when I came back.
Yeah. And that, like speaking on that, man, like that, what you said right there is 100% true. That's pretty much how they run. That's why, like, you were here, you probably heard. And that the thing is, I know you knew why it was because guys say, hey man, we need a like a TGI Friday off base, so we need this off base and this. I'm like, dude, you got to look at the demographic. They're not only looking to provide services to only 35 guys on base that'll go there, that'll go off base and go there. They gotta build that like since you've been gone. They got a Kokoichi's here in Misawa, right by base. So
I think they had that there when I was there.
Okay. So when'd you leave? When'd you leave, by the way?
Probably about 4 years ago.
Okay. Is it 4 years already? Shit.
Yeah, 2017 I left.
Okay. Yeah, shit. Because that's right. Well, I technically because pretty much we didn't see each other much anymore after 2016 is when I kicked off my business, and that's when I kind of did for like 6 months. I was going back and forth until I was like, here's my ID, I'm done, man. And for 4 years, man, I didn't have access to base. For 4 years.
I remember you came over and you was like, hey man, I'm about to quit.
Oh, okay.
I'm about to quit. I was like about to quit.
Oh, so I did talk to you then.
Yeah. I came over to the shop. That's when you had the shop when you had like it was like the one bay.
Yeah.
And you had the drifting set up in the inside.
Oh yes, damn, come over, man.
Then you actually saw some of the passive income, and I was like, oh man, this is real.
Yeah. That was, because I was pretty much doing it for a test. So what I did, it was roughly like 5.5 months. I was going back and forth, but what I did, man, pretty much the money I was making, I didn't touch the money I was making from the job on base. I was making the money from the car stuff to actually pay everything. So I was like, man, if I wanted to see if it'll actually work. And I had kind of like a little backup thing. And then I was like, one day I was watching one guy's Patrick Back David for Valuetainment. If you don't know about this guy, bro, the best information out there, man. That dude's like, he's legit.
Yeah, I like the one he was talking about potential.
Yeah, bro. The stuff they get off that stuff is priceless, dude. And people are charging for it and not even giving but that guy, I don't really plug many people because you don't know who I am. But yeah, man, that dude's anyway. I was watching. He was like, dude, you just got to pretty much. You can't have a He was saying something. You can't have too many fallbacks or whatever because if you got that, you won't ever put like your full effort into the business. And you won't put the full grind in there. So I knew I had the job on the flight line. I was making like whatever I was making, it wasn't a bunch because we lost the contract. So I lost about $15K annually. So they're not going to change it, man. So, but yeah, man. So I mean, far as that, man, that's dope. And you mentioned the real estate. So is that what you're into primarily now, or is it what else are you doing? I know you're doing something, man. So what you got going on?
So I'm kind of into a lot of stuff right now. Like there's so much opportunity right now. It's like you can't ignore like one thing that's going on.
Right.
So like you saw like last year, stock market was crazy.
Man.
Like I had guys at work. We all in the market.
Yeah.
I'm talking about I had like $2,000 this day, $2,000 that day, $2,000 this. I'm like, oh man, it was an amazing week.
Yeah.
Then and then you throw it all in AMC. Now you're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like still stuck in AMC. Holding on, whatever, right? But then equally, I got my own investment strategy, which is like holding for the long term, right? So one of my first investments ever was Tesla, right? So I think I had like 50 shares at one point when it was about $35 a share, like probably like 7-8 years ago or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then so that's when I really like saw the power of investing. I made like $3,000, probably like 3 times off of Tesla. And then I even had Tesla when they converted into Solar City, or Solar City converted into Tesla.
Right.
You feel me? So I knew that investing worked. And then so my strategy is like holding for the long term, right? So I got like 2 things I want to get into and hold and like dollar cost average into, or like just add into every month at the same time until one of those things pop.
Yeah.
And then that's my long term strategy for those 2 things. I mean, like Lucid and Volta, if you wanted to know.
Yeah.
Do your own due diligence.
Yeah. Because that's great.
I got a second.
You can't really see this WitchCon, man, but the icons. This is my. I got Webull, Coinbase, Binance, Robinhood, crypto, and like a bunch of other stuff, man. And it's like I didn't start until I flipped that with the second what's that damn word, man? The stimulus.
Stimulus.
So I flipped the second.
Yeah.
You seen it when I posted, man, and like people hit me up like, hey man, I'm like, bro, I just put it in there, and like I'm like that. I'm not saying I'm above the 1,200 or whatever they sent or 6, whatever it was, but I'm like, dude, I'm not like struggling for it, so I put all that shit straight to the WitchCom, and I started.
Right.
And the thing about it, did you know Carlos? When he worked,
no.
When he worked, one of the ACMI guys on the flight line with me, so he probably was there, but he drives a Tesla now, and he bought the Tesla with money from investing in Tesla. So he drives a WitchCom. Yeah. He actually got let go from that job, and because he just voiced his opinion, and they weren't feeling it, and he's making like triple the amount of money he was making, and doing well. And the thing about it, when we was in the truck, this was like back in 2014. I thought he was playing games on his phone the whole time. Like, he's a grown man, do what he does. But no, this motherfucker was straight like selling, holding, like selling shares, like all this shit back then. And now he showed me his portfolio, man. And like you say, 4K, 5K, 6. And then, but he does what I like. What he does, he shows me when he loses like 13K though.
Right.
And then he'll show me the next week I got that 13K back plus more. And it's like you got to ride the waves, and and like you meant, we know Tesla ain't going nowhere. We know Amazon ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It's you know who is not going anywhere. Like one thing I checked out, there was like somebody was like investing like a dollar store and everything. So I put about 30 whatever shares on one of the dollar whatevers, and then like flash forward, there's like they're not doing as hot as everybody thought they would do during this Corona time. So it's like you gotta it's a game you gotta play. But I tell the dudes, man, you gotta already have the money ready to go, because the market's not gonna wait for you to sell whatever you gotta sell and get the money.
Right.
You gotta have that shit already in your wallet, ready to click buy, because the AMC shit and the GameStop. I actually put 7 shares down, but I made a rookie mistake. I did it from my phone, and I clicked limited by mistake. Yeah, so that shit went like limit.
Yeah.
That was not, and it came. I think it was like 61, and I clicked limited. So I'm like, that shit ain't never. I don't think it's seen 61.
I'm still stuck in AMC. Yeah. I'm stuck in AMC. I'm stuck in Wish. But I'm just gonna hold it, see what happens. Once we recover fully, and we'll see what's to the movies and stuff. I mean, I just heard in the news the other day, they said they might strike in Hollywood, so we'll see how that affects AMC as well. like it can't be good, but we'll see. You know, it's yet to be seen. But like I like with that though, like my long term strategy, I just feel like based upon my experience with Tesla, right?
Mm-hmm.
You pick, and people talk against this. I'm gonna tell you straight up. I feel like you pick one or two things that you know a lot about because you invest in what you know
Yeah.
and that you can keep up with, right? You pick one or two things and you concentrate your money in those things, right? So an initial investment of a sizable amount, and then you constantly add to that thing every month, right? Until it blows up, right? And then once you got your millions, then you diversify across the market so you can preserve your wealth.
Mm.
You feel me? Now, if you do that the opposite, where you diversify, man, you're probably really, really safe, right? But you're gonna have some pops over here, stuff gonna drop over there, it's just gonna average out because you spread too thin. And so you centralize and concentrate in one place.
Right.
And
that, essentially you're 110% explained what I did. And what I did when the first time what I did was I was like, oh, like I was kind of like James Wood in Wisconsin, I was like, ooh, piece of candy. So I was looking at all these different companies and Raytheon and all this other stuff and stuff that was popping off and looking at it and everything that came on the news. I was like, oh shit, let me get it. And it was like, and I found a few guys. It was like, you gotta, and I don't understand what they said. It was like, remove your emotions from the investing, and you gotta check them because you gotta really look at it analytically, see who they're partnering with. Like when I think Amazon had I guess they were building these trucks and they're using Cummins engines, and they were like these hybrid engines. And Cummins is like I deal with those guys a lot for certain parts because I use their turbos. So I knew who Cummins was, but then I put down on it. I'm not sure where it's at now because I kind of like sold it, but it was like that deal fell through, and then like you were banking on like NIO or doing certain things, and they fell through, and it's like all these deals kind of they talk about it, and by the time the public hears about it, that thing is already like 4 weeks old anyway. So we're getting it, so it's never new to us unless you're insider, which you're technically not supposed to be an inside trader. But we know that's BS.
Yeah, they say buy the rumor, sell the news.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the professional traders, they trade in real time. They got the hardwired links, and they getting the numbers are true numbers value. By the time we get it on all these third party sites, there's lag and timing and all that. I mean, you could even see it with crypto. Yeah, like just look up the disparities in the numbers on crypto. Like go to like CoinGecko or something like that, and then go over to one of the other exchanges and see what the difference in price of the cryptos. So like so the limit orders in that case would be smart to use because you could put sell or buy at that exact price, based upon those disparities in prices. So you got to use those tools that they'll help you out to not lose. So you got the stocks. So I'm in the stocks and I'm in the cryptos, kind of alluded to that. Crypto is pretty interesting because the whole Bitcoin thing is kind of exciting if you think about it, right? So the way it's sold is not the way everybody is even thinking about it, right? Everybody's thinking about Bitcoin replacing the dollar and stuff like that, and it's supposed to be where like if we lose faith in the dollar, then everybody goes to Bitcoin, But right now it's kind of tied to the stock market, so the stock market go down, Bitcoin go down, but it's not supposed to be that way. So I think that's still trying to like manifest itself the way it's supposed to be, right? To where if we lose faith in the U.S. dollar, crypto could be that backing to have faith in that, right? But again, it's just like with generations, older generations when they use gold and have faith in the dollar that way, and you can see the new generations having faith in crypto. I guess like Shiba Inu is the new thing right now. So first it was Doge, now it's Shiba Inu, So I got a little crypto doing that, even doing a little crypto mining. Right? Yeah, I got a little. I don't know. Little Bobcat miner, just dropping a little gem right there, right? Yeah. So I paid about $500 for that. You got to pay for it with crypto, so you got to be in the game to get in the game, right? So I bought that for $500. I'm already at $300 in mining, and all I had to do was plug it in. I don't have to do anything. I just plug it in. And so people's first concern is like, oh, what about the electric? Man, this thing right here probably pull the same power as my Wi-Fi router. Yeah, that's all it really is. It's kind of like a router. So it mines helium, the H&T token. So pretty much helium is proof of coverage, right? So you provide an internet coverage for all of the those little scooters and stuff around town. Like most cities have them. So it provides coverage for things like that, like Internet of Things, items and stuff like that, So doing a little crypto thing. And then aside from that, just basic real estate, but kind of like, I guess you could say advanced real estate, because I kind of like 10X that thing. So instead of having regular tenants, I do Airbnb or short-term rentals.
Okay.
And we're doing really good with that. So that's kind of like the main thing that's kind of like carrying us.
Good shit. In a nutshell, the money you make it for the military is like, yeah. It's like, that's the good shit, man, because like you generally don't see guys in the military like that until they're like a chief and their wife's like a senior master sergeant, and like they just got they got the one check that takes care of that, and the one check is just pretty much savings or those. Whenever I see like a chief and a chief married, or a chief married to like an officer or some shit like that, it's like, man, they're older. They just got the aura of like we're good way before we retire. And a lot of people in the military, man, again, you were around them out there. They just kind of got that. They rather sit around and bitch about what it is instead of like, hey man, this is my situation now. This is how much I get paid. This is how much is left over. And I'm like, I don't understand unless you got like some old Yakuza money or Chinese triad money. I don't understand the military dudes that's been flat broke, by the 17th, dude. Like,
that's kind of how I started, right? Yeah. We're kind of like maybe it sparked it at that time, because prior to that, I think I was driving home from work. I was stationed I was at Luke at this time. And work was really hard around that time,
Right.
I had a Mustang with 22-inch rims on it, had a screen in it, bumping Gucci Mane on the screen. Watching the music videos or whatever, right? And then work just got so hard that you had those days where you drive home with no music on.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And so one day I turned the radio on, but there wasn't a CD in there to play, the videos or whatever. And then it was a radio station on Dave Ramsey, right? And there was all these rich people on his show talking about, like, should we buy this or should we go on this trip? And, then they would scream like they was debt free, if they didn't have any debt. I was like, oh man, this is interesting, something to this, right? So man, if they could save and pay off their debt, I can too. So it kind of sparked me to start like paying down my debt. And you pay down the debt, disputing things with my credit. I saw the credit score start going up. And then like fast forward a little bit, my dad, he was always telling me to buy property. I was like, about to buy property. I got this Mustang, these 22-inch rims, but doing these girls.
Yeah.
What it's talking about, right? But he was harping on it, right? So I was like, go on ahead, he had a guy, I guess, that give me pre-approved or whatever. I said, go on ahead, run that. Gave him my social. Came back, said you got denied, right? That's like, oh man, that was embarrassing.
Yeah.
Right. So here I am in the military, away from my family. And he pretty much said, like, you've been traveling the world, you're eating good, you're doing this, and that, but you ain't got nothing to show for it, right? If you got out tomorrow, you won't have anything to show for it. So that's when I started getting serious about trying to save and invest. And, with the help of, the radio station I was listening to, whatever, kind of like, prompted that initial thing.
Right.
And then that's what led to kind of like getting into investing. And then once your credit good, it's empowering.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say, right? Your credit good, you got a little money saved up. And now when you go to the store and you're trying to get something, it's not, oh, unfortunately at this time we can't blah, 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 right? I tried to get a Star card 3 times and got denied,
Shit.
But then, but yeah, from there, I ended up getting the credit card. Then, ended up getting orders to Korea. Then I had to make a decision about if I wanted to, keep my friend or be married. So I decided to get married, went that route. But that also kind of helped with it too, because now I'm looking at rings, and I go get approved for I think it was Ben Bridge, no name plugs or whatever, but like they had nice rings and stuff, right? So I got approved. I think it was I want to say like 8,000 in there. I'm like 8,000.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa. Right.
Make her happy.
And so, and then I ended up going to K Jeweler, and then they had a bigger diamond. I'm like, all right, scratch that. So I canceled that account the same day because I knew I didn't want to close no accounts. And I stuck with the K and bought the bigger diamond or whatever. But like that helped my credit as well. And So I'm about to drop some gems real quick on that credit piece, right?
Go.
So I had a Capital One credit card at the time, right? And my limit was only 500 because my credit was bad, right? So 250, and then after 6 months of good payments, they raised it to 500, right? But when you go home on leave, you still ain't that 500 gone. That's either eating, gas, or that rental car you had. So it was like after I swiped it that one time for those things, it didn't do me any good.
Right.
So mind you, I just got approved for 8,000 at being bridged. I'm about to call Capital One and see what's up.
Yeah.
So I hop on the phone, call Capital One, and I pretty much asked, hey, can I get a credit line increase? They asked why. I'm like, I explained the same thing I just told you about swiping it and then not having enough. And so the first person said, unfortunately at this time, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, no. I said, no, can't go. I need to speak to a supervisor. Better yet, let me speak to your underwriter. That's the person that can ultimately approve and deny your credit. Just like the commander in your league, right? So I'm on the phone with them now. I asked her the same thing. She said the same thing initially. And I was like, nah. I'm like, nope, can't do it. I said, can't you see that I paid off that car loan? Can't you see that I did this? Can't you see that I did that? And I was like, I need to know why you're denying me. And she told me because I missed a payment on my student loan. But then I gave her all the reasons all the things I did pay for that I haven't missed. And then she did a reconsideration. Then she was like, well, how much you trying to get? How much you trying to get? I'm like, oh man, 10,000. Let me get 10,000. Let me get 10,000. Then she said I hadn't been with them long enough to get 10,000. I was like, well, how much can I get? So 500 went to 2,500, right? The moral of that story is don't take no for an answer and talk to the right people.
Yeah.
Right? Or you're going to take that L.
Yeah.
And when I think a lot of people do that daily, we take them L's because we get told we can't do certain things and we don't know our worth or our value and go out and assign it properly,
Yeah.
So
100%, man. Like, I mean, I'm listening, man, because that, like, I keep it real with everybody, man. My credit, I paid off, like you said, man, paying off debt and the process of doing it is one of those things where it kind of like, you gotta be militant in it and like just pay it. As soon as you get that money in your hand or whatever, just pay it. When we met, when we met, I was actually in the process of paying off $20K in debt, like cards and stuff. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I had stuff from back in college when I got out. I had a thing there that I had to pay off. I was on scholarship left and I had to pay them stuff back. I had two of them weren't even mine. I mean, we got the Social Security number. Sometimes parents use that, and that's a whole different. I had two credit cards I didn't know about, and some other credit cards and some other stuff. So, and like in a nutshell, it was like $20K equivalent. So I paid all that off because I'm like, man, I'm thinking about business, but I don't want to start a business having like some other debt not associated to business, because business you're gonna incur debt, and that's part of like one thing a lot of people don't understand, man. Like I've already paid off like the first debts, and I'm on a new tier of debts. It's one of those things, and Patrick David, like he kind of made me feel, because I felt like debt was like a bad thing, and he was like, if you're not really like if you're just staying stagnant, you're not growing.
Yeah.
You're not growing, and like, I mean, look at America. I mean, zillions of dollars in debt. You know what I mean? But that's some poor choices or whatever collectively. But I'm not saying go like, so far under that you will never pay it back. But you gotta take on calculated debts to kind of move stuff up. And then the next guy's gonna look at, hey, you paid this off. And like you said before, hey man, I paid all this shit, and then you're talking about this student loan. I'm like, really, dude? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
They shouldn't even be that high anyway. That's another topic. But they do that, man. And my stuff is what I did is I paid mine off, and what I didn't get anything else, so my credit just froze. So now I gotta, and honestly, being here, I don't really want to get too much into pulling from America, because what'll happen right now, I pay zero tax because I'm over here. They do their thing or whatever, but it's to the point where I might as well make it work for myself. I am living in Japan. I got citizenship in America, so before I pull out permanent, I might get like one more, whatever to get it, whatever I got to do, but I don't really need it. But this is one of those things where The guys that are looking to build credit, like just not doing any credit at all is not good. And I see a lot of dudes saying, "No, I don't get credit cards. If you can't spot in cash, you don't need it." It's not that we can't afford it. It's like people want us to see your history before you get the property, or you get this or you get that, or you start a company. You need a fleet of vehicles. You might can buy all those vehicles out of pocket, but you want to finance that and do different things and let the system pay for it. And then you get a deal on it too. So there's so many ways to work it. And all the stuff we talking about right now, I was never heard these words in high school. Never heard these words in middle school. And why is that, man? It's like because they don't want you to.
It's crazy. Because, like growing up, I had a fairly good upbringing. My father was a contractor. My mom worked in the hospital. I had a good upbringing. They moved us out of the city into the suburbs,
right.
And but I still couldn't connect myself with any type of real like wealth or anything like that, like real money.
Right.
I couldn't see how I would get from where I was driving a Lambo. Like not that everybody's aspiration is that, but that's mine. But I couldn't see that happening. But now that I see through like doing for self and like just making it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you want something, you go get it. Right. This all man made. It's all man made. And I do kind of, I don't want to get conspiratorial, but I do kind of feel it's by design. Like we hey, he like you only know what you know. My dad said it all the time. People only know what they know, right? And the part about that that's kind of sad in a sense is sometimes we get comfortable in mess, like where we come from. We get comfortable in mess, and then there's people to support those thoughts and ideas, right? You can actually call it crabs in the bucket.
Yep.
But and then what's also interesting is if you look at teachers, right? I went home on leave. I'm at a club. One of my cousins is a club promoter, and the other one is a DJ. So I'm at one of the clubs, and it's a teacher there. I know her from high school, and she's not a teacher, right? I mean, I don't even think she actually went to college, but she's a teacher now at the school. So what I'm saying is the people that graduate from college and the people teaching people are the same people that was in the neighborhood. And they're just getting recycled over and over again. So what's she gonna teach me about wealth and generational wealth? You feel me?
Yeah.
Like so, it's almost like a bucket. Each bucket is taught different things. From the upper class, middle class, and poor. Like we all got different ways of living.
Yeah.
Right. We don't think about this. Like there's people at the bottom, or people anywhere in America. Just use America for example. There's people that don't have bank accounts.
Yeah.
We take having a bank account for granted. Google it. How many people in America don't have bank accounts? The number will shock you.
Yeah.
You feel me? I drive around, Tucson sometimes. I still see people getting those free Obama phones,
Oh, shit.
How many people don't have connection to the internet? You feel me?
Yeah.
Like that's when we live our life, like what we do, take care of our family, go where we go, but we're not looking at the entire system as a whole. You feel me? Like how the world works and what's making it move. And not that you need to, but if you want to have a grasp on like what's really going on or how we should really be living our lives, then that's what we need to look at, like how the world works. Like I always say it like this: on base, I know what a commander office at, security forces, and this shop, that shop. What you know about your city? Where city hall at? Where the mayor office at? Where the permit office at? Where the business department at? Learn the city. Learn the city. Get the key to it. And start networking, and then you can do some things in the city, Like it's amazing around town. There's a lot of people from out of town that come into town to build the city up.
Right.
Why is that? People here don't want to work, or is it that much money to be made here where they can afford that people come from outside to inside to help build a city? I'm trying to be a part of that. Trying to see what's going on with that, So
100%,
man.
It's deep, man. 100%. Yeah. Like that stuff like that, man. It's like, the people, they don't understand, man, the circle. The biggest thing, man, is the circle and who you surround yourself with. People take all this cliches, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, it really is true, man. It's like, of all the guys on my Facebook friend list, because most of the people on there ain't really friends, you know what I'm saying? Like you're like yourself, you're like a handful of guys that I've actually shook hands with, you know what I'm saying? So most people on Facebook you never met, you never will meet. So it's just what it is. I promote to them. That's what I use Facebook for, shamelessly, and it works well, man. Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff, man, put me in a position where people who never knew about me see my stuff and I make money and whatever. And you know what I mean, like you say, man, going back to the beginning, if you're not making any kind of cash flow at all, it takes what most banks you need what $20 to open an account, to open like some of them like they'll give you a goddamn card with nothing in there. I mean, we got had like a $1 or something like that for the federal FDA stuff or whatever, right? So go to a bank like you said, get that. My brother's case in point example on that. They sell clothing. They go to New York. They do the whole New York, Pennsylvania stuff. Buy clothes, bring it back to Baltimore. Do their thing. They're doing really well. Very, very proud of them. But when I went back, they were like, I'm like, dude, where do you keep your money at? Oh, I got it here. I'm like, dude, get that. Number one, get that money out of there. Don't tell nobody about where this money at, because I guarantee you slip up. We're in Baltimore, man. You gotta be smart. And I took him to the bank, and while I was there, I was only there for 48 hours. I'm like, dude, open up a bank account now, dude. Take that money, put it there. And his other brother was telling him to keep it out because the man this and the man that. I'm like, dude, he's about to, number one, get you robbed and killed because you got all this money where it ain't supposed to be at. You know, I'm not even gonna say mine where it was at, but you got all this money where it ain't supposed to be at. People are not gonna look at how much money you got in this place. They want to see this electronically or whatever, man. So they were doing right, but they just rough around the edges because there was not people there to really to help them. Like, dude, you got to do this, and this, and we chopped it up, and it was good because we didn't see each other in like almost 6 years. And he was when I left, man, he was like waist high, and now he's running his. I'm doing the business in Japan. They're all three doing a clothing boutique, and they but they got that ragged kind of city style behind them. I'm like, nah, man, you gotta clean, you gotta polish this up, man, and you got to look presentable for others if you want to get an investor and things like that. So I was kicking it to him and telling him like, certain other people. I was like, hey, one thing they're getting into. I was like, man, I'm like, you ain't got to tell me, but I know this is happening to you, right? You're getting a lot of phone calls, emails, and all that stuff from people saying your Instagram hit you up. He's like, yeah. I gave him 35. I'm like, stop that shit right now. Stop it right now, man. Because that, what y'all doing every day, going up to New York and Pennsylvania and doing your thing, they can do that same shit. And they not doing that, man. Stop. Do your thing. Take care of what you got to take care of. If you get a surplus and somebody's in a hard spot, really, I mean, you got to decide if you want to help them, but you can't be their lifeline because they just getting used to it and they're going to stay lazy. And he kind of like, I could tell he didn't, he wasn't really feeling what I was saying, but I'm like, dude. And he hit me back up like 2 months later, like, hey, man, I know what you were saying, man, because I stopped giving him money. Then he stopped calling me and I'm like, hey, man.
What he should do is give him some of the product to sell. Yeah.
No, man, some of those guys, like, I'm like, they just, that's just like you, man. My mom was an accountant for McCormick. My stepdad always held the job down in the maintenance for like the housing maintenance, and he ended up working in DoubleTree. So we moved from East Baltimore to like West Baltimore, and then we lived in the suburbs and then right on the outskirts, right? So I got the best of both worlds. Like I had white friends, I had all that stuff, right? So I I pretty much escaped the city for the week, and then I would go to the city on the weekends. So I had both. So I had the street smarts and then how life could really be. I mean, I'm talking about 15 minutes from the ghetto in the slum to grass and picket fence and shit. 15 minutes. That's all it's up in Baltimore. 15 minutes. And they just
Chicago the same way.
Yeah. They got that invisible barrier that nobody crosses both ways, but it's 15 minutes that separates trash in the gutter from. It's crazy, man. Baltimore is even smaller than Chicago, so it's probably, you'll see it more. Johns Hopkins, there's a little bubble around Johns Hopkins University. You go 5 minutes that way, you got crackheads and dudes laying on the ground. Five minutes, literally. But and the capital DC is the same way. They're a little capital. They got that bubble around it with security. So it's like, man, it is what it is. But fortunately, and myself, fortunately, we were blessed to see other stuff, and I think that's why we talk like we talk today. And you don't see a lot of black cats, man, even on that wavelength of I can do more. And I mean, I'm not taking for granted what I went through and everything. It definitely molded me to where I'm at right now, being the only American in Japan with a performance shop. The whole fucking Japan.
Yes, sir.
And you know what I'm saying? And when these cats want to come at me sideways because they feel like, because it's just me, and I know you get it too when guys think because you're just doing whatever, they think they can pull one over on you because it's just you doing your thing. Like, nah, bro. You're not gonna. It's just I got a schedule. This is my practices. So weekly, I'm telling dudes to pretty much screw off weekly, man, because your $3,000, while I could use it, it's not gonna change. It's not gonna make me drop my morals. It's not gonna make me drop what I got to do. And you're not important, so you got to get in line. And when I tell them that, they be like, all right, cool. And like I'm talking about former pilots and all types of people, man, who think they'll flash, they'll talk, and then people start doing that. I know what they're doing. They're trying to, oh man, I put this much down on this, and I bought this, and I went to the shop, and I told them, I'm like, and I'm listening, like you're subconsciously trying to tell me what you want to happen in my shop. It's not fucking happening.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? I pretty much pushed the customer away. I knew the dude was loaded. I knew he had money. I knew who he worked for. But I'm like, nah, bro, it's not going to go that way. You're not going to be checking up on me. You're not going to be doing this stuff and everything. And I'm like, I'm pretty hardcore in it. So, you know what I mean? I'm in a position here in Japan where I can be like that. If I was in America and there was a tuning shop on the all corner, I had to kind of, you know, a little bit. But here it's just me.
Yeah.
It's just me. And then you got all of the Japanese, which by design, luckily, they only do in a line what they do for 15, 20, 30 years. They do that one thing. They don't think about doing this or doing that. They do that one thing for 15 years. And when you interject something else, you can just look at their fucking eyes and they just like in their mind is like, I don't know what's going on. They're shit. They get like the blue screen of death and shit, man.
But they don't deviate.
Yeah, not at all.
they don't deviate.
And as a result, that non-deviation allowed me to flourish because they order the same parts. They think that these parts are a gospel. When I'm like, bro, all that shit comes from fucking China, bro. I don't care. China, Thailand, it comes from there. It's just the QA shit and the shit that ain't QA.
Right.
I've gotten parts made. I've helped with parts. I got, manufacturers in my back pocket for multiple things and everything. Stuff brewing, and in America, New Zealand, Australia are putting out better jet parts for these cars than Japan is for cheaper. So I'm building cars that are better for a fraction of the cost, and they still stay in that same line, taking 6 months to do something that I could do in 3 weeks. And, and it's
funny too because you'll go to a restaurant. And you say you want to add something to your sandwich or probably even take it off.
No.
They do not deviate. Boy.
I don't hit up McDonald's too much, but one day I was like, no salt on the fries, right? Because they like, I think they hear Americans and they think they be like this, like, oh, they want all the salt and shit, right? So like no salt on the fries, right? And then the trick with that if you go to fast food, not promoting it, but you get them hot because they either just came out the fucking thing and they're hot. So you get the ones that salted on. They be sitting there in the crisper for like 10, 15, 30 minutes. So you get fresh fries and everything.
Japan, McDonald's off the chain. We can promote them. Japan McDonald's is off the chain.
And speaking on that, man, we're joking, man, but you notice the difference between the Japanese one where you look in there and you see everybody is almost between 28 and 40 years old.
Mm.
And like, why do you think that's like that, man? And like, and in America, you look through the window and everybody's between, 16 or whatever, with the oldest person being a manager. So like, it's like that's not a high, like McDonald's actually has benefits. It's not really, and like you said, it's not socially looked down on as a less than starter job. So you look in there, man, and also their quality of food, their quality is better because they got older people in there. You know what I mean? They ain't thinking about the prom and shit. They ain't thinking about homecoming. They ain't thinking about, getting with girls for the first time and they got their mind clouded with that shit. They they're just straight working, man. So,
food coming out looking just like the picture.
Like the picture, dude. Just like the picture. I'm talking.
Hey, no joke too.
And I was telling dudes I get mad and shit because there's no fucking fries in the bag. When in America they throw them in the bag sideways and shit. So when you get done with the fries, you got like another, another bag full of fries. There you might get one fry that fall out, but there's no fries in the bag because they put that shit in there. Everything is nice and tidy, and they give you a plastic bag and man, different. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Man. I feel like a lot of that stuff kind of transferred over with me too, right? Because like the like customer service and whatnot,
Yeah.
I get it. you can't please everybody.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
in this business, I see it too. Short-term rental business, like you can't please everybody. But like I do use a lot from there, like in our business, you know. But yeah, man, you just they don't deviate. That's just like the pictures. The employees, the way they dress
Yeah.
looks better than, and, you know, they have better specials throughout the year. Like it's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and that kind of says a lot about where we are and us leading and whatnot, you know. But
Yeah, I mean,
hey,
100%, man. Because even like you always see, like pretty much, I'm on my podcast. I got this. This is my jumper, right? So this is when
yeah,
I go. Everybody in my shower know who I am, dude. Like even when I go on base, like people who like I'll hear dudes like, "Oh, that's Pinku style" or whatever. Like I sent them an email, but I'm like, yeah, because you probably like I told when you put a fucking when you email the commander, you don't put yo orders and then send that shit. What are you putting there? You put the standard shit in there for the subject title, your unit, blah blah blah, and you're not. And matter of fact, bad example because you're never mailing the commander. You're mailing the orderly room or some stuff like that, chain of command.
right.
So when you got a guy that I know does that every day, and then you send me an email tires. That shit goes to my spam box. I don't even look at that shit. Cause like you didn't. I asked Pinku style, your name, what you want, and the subject line. That way, it's not triggered by my spam thing, which is high. I set the thing on the highest level because I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want to deal with it, man. So like, I'm like, bro, take the time out. Have respect. You know, address me like this. Do that, and that's what. And my biggest thing, man, is like I'll not do something, man, just to spite somebody because their level of respect. And it's like I'm not gonna tolerate it, dude. Because number one, again, I work hard enough, and I still do that. I don't,
right.
you know, I don't need, and I'm not sending them above $35 or whatever it is. But I'm like, the job I'm working on right now is gonna net me $8K. The next one after that's
it's an indicator though. It's
right.
an indicator. That's the equivalent of I send like all the check-in information to the guests, like all the stuff. They get everything, right?
Right.
And then you will get a guest, and they'll say, "Where's the code?"
Yeah. Exactly.
Where's the code? I said, go back and read all the messages I sent you. You know, like it is literally laid out. You know, like where's the code? Oh, we're gonna have problems.
Yeah, and right, 100%. You can see right from that, dude. Every time I had a customer product subject line, open it up, the body is like, you know, they have, you know, I had a couple of times where I had customers that got too much information. Like, all right, thanks, man, for that, but I'm going to check the car out for you. But like, they just put tires and then they put wheels, 17s. I'm like, so 17 by this, what are they, 9-inch, 10-inch, 5, you know. Then I got to go do that stuff. I'm like, you know what, dude? Like, I'm to the point where it's not that I don't want to do it, but like that right there, I know it's going to be other problems. I just turned away a guy. I telling the story a little bit, and he still ain't hit me back up. This guy obviously he got money. I know he got money because I've the way he kind of dealt with certain things. He dropped $28K like it wasn't, like it was water. And then when we got to doing work and everything, I'm asking for certain information that I need because I don't want to keep emailing. I know what I need. I know what I need to extract from it. And I'm like, look, man, this obviously email is not working. You ice me for 3 days and you don't answer what I want, and then you bring up a new subject. Like, I need answers from 2 emails ago, and I'm being respectful and everything. I was like, hey man, email's not working, so just come in and see me. And no, I'm like, hey man, if you can't come see me, don't even email no more. We're done, and we're done. He didn't email me back. Crisis averted, man. I'm 38. Right. I'm not gonna die of an aneurysm at 55 because I'm letting these guys do that, and I refuse to. And the thing is, I have, you know, now being 5 years in, I got so many satisfied customers out there that I don't even need to, you know, I was aggressive the first 2 years. Like, I won't let nobody say shit that was not true. So I was hey man, you need to come see me now because this and this and blah blah blah, and I'll meet you at the gate and everything. And they're like, oh well, why you being a black aggressive dude and all that typical shit, right? So now I don't even say no. I'm like, all right, hey man, obviously this is not working for you. I'm sorry, I can't help you. Go somewhere else. Done. Right. And I block it. And then they get the point, and I see them on base, and it's always a stutter. So I'm like, dude, what I said in the email was true. You ain't conforming, and we can't work together, man. Sorry, but I'm not even going to go back on it because you're not going to change. You're 26 years old. You are who you are at this point in life, for the most point. So, and
that's everybody, not your customer. You know?
Yeah, and
you can't please everybody.
That took me a while to. It took me actually last year. Last year, man, I was I'm like, man, what am I? I was thinking I had to change my style, and then I did for like 1 week. I kind of allowed some stuff, and then sure enough, the reason why I had this system in place is because this works that way. I'm in Japan, I'm dealing with Americans and everything, and I was like, you know what? I was right. The fact that I survived Corona, I know my system's tight, man. I made more money. Right. I made more money during Corona than I did before Corona. Same. That means you're doing what you're doing is your shit's correct, man. Yeah. Hey, man, I think Corona for business. I want to be done with it. The Corona stuff, because it definitely is losing me money, as much money as I made. But the Corona, man, I think it showed who was on top of their shit, because the ones that wasn't, they're already gone, man. They were gone in the first 6 months.
Right. Yes, I saw a lot of businesses didn't innovate, during that time,
Yeah.
Like say with short-term rentals, like it actually helps you, right? You don't want to be waiting for somebody to come in off their flight and their flight get delayed and you sitting there with the keys waiting to meet them. Like, no,
yeah.
hit that keypad door lock. You know what I'm saying? Like, hit that lock. Hit that keypad door lock.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not waiting for you. So it helped me, like, and then even with that, right? So, say for example, people used to have like welcome guides and all stuff, right? The QR codes.
Yeah.
We started using the QR codes. And basically, I built a website, and so when you hit the QR code, it takes you to our like house rules and stuff. But then you also on our website now too. You can probably book with me next time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it just helped me like think of ways to innovate and make the business better. So
yeah, 100%, man. That's one thing I've seen, because I watch a lot of the podcasts. And one thing, I watch a lot of the guys I watch, and of course Joe Rogan and all those guys, and pretty much the whole circle. And they always talk about the DoorDash and the Uber Eats and stuff like that. And one of the things like they were doing was a lot of the restaurants, of course, they were all getting shut down for COVID. And I think California hit the most. That's why everybody left California for Texas. So you could tell the good companies. I mean, I'm talking about the week of everything being shut down. They never did like carry out ever. That's not their business.
Yeah.
First week, man, they were like, the guy was like, hey, man, that guy was like, this shit's coming, man. Let's prepare. The ones that started doing it after everything were already like behind. So this guy was just raking the money. He was the only guy doing delivery pizza and everything and blah, 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 and sending out the containers. They had the containers on standby. They knew this was coming. And if it didn't happen, then like you got a bunch of containers, and then what do you do with it? But that's the what you do with investing. That's what people don't understand, man. It's like gambling on a horse. Like if you go into the track and you take that money and you put down $5,000 on a horse and it loses, that same $5,000 that you lost is a $5,000 that grew what I have right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like people don't look at it like that. They just look at it like, well, this is a definite, I guess, and everything, man. So that's what for the guys that I kind of get a sense of like that are savvy, I'll actually give them time, man. But honestly, I'm in a point now where, yeah, man, it's like I put a lot of time into my business per day, 14, 15 hours a day easily. Seriously. And I mean, like, other time I got an hour for the family, and then other than that, I get like 4 hours of sleep. Try to sometimes get 5, but when dudes come to me like, hey man, you ever think about doing this? I'm like, yeah, I thought about that maybe 5 years ago when you were still in middle school. Yeah. Yeah, I thought about that 5 years ago. And when guys come, that's like an insult kind of, man, because to me, when a customer says that, I'm a person that I check everything right there, because I can't allow it to manifest and go forward. And I got to also let that guy know, because this is our first interaction or whatever, and I set the tone. And especially with these guys being from Wisconsin and everywhere else, the melting pot of the military, you got guys from all over. And generally the guys that I have no issues with are the guys who are from the inner cities. They know what it is. They have an understanding of how life works. And the guys that are from those shut off places where, they kind of like think they could question everything. I'm like, bro, this is the price, bro. I'm not explaining to you every cent. I'll explain to you. I'll break it down a little bit, but you know what I mean? I don't have to break down how much toilet paper costs.
Right,
I don't have
to
break down this. It's not what it is, man. So it is what it is, man. Again, the fact that I'm going on 6 years for my business, I know I'm on the right track. And then again, I use Valuetainment to kind of actually check what I'm doing, and pretty much all the stuff he says, man, I'm on board with it. And I've also used a lot of that stuff to kind of check myself, as far as like sometimes it's easy to see what people are doing and trends and everything here in Japan, and like it's small because one guy will say, "Hey man, I talked to this guy at RX-7. He's going to come to you next," or I already know where they've been before they came to me. So when they come to me, every time a lot of these cats are coming to me is they think, I don't know if I'm a black guy, I'm a single guy, whatever, that my shit's gonna be low and my price is the same or higher than where they came from. And I was like, by the way, I know you went to this shop, and they look at me like, oh fuck, you knew that? I'm like, why wouldn't I know that? We all run businesses, but we all talk to each other too.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it ain't, you know what I mean? Obviously there's some people we might not talk to because they feeling like you're taking their thing or whatever. But for me, I'm in a position where there's only one other performance shop in Masawa, and I know him. He was nothing to do with Americans. And, you know what I mean? I'm not taking his people, you know what I'm saying? So we're cool. But
right.
But yeah, man. So far as the, you know, for you, man, the real estate and stuff like that, is it more like I mean, that's your Airbnb deal. Is it a lot of people in that industry right now, or is it some people just kind of getting in and they're getting right out?
You know, so there's like a big movement around like all of the peer-to-peer stuff,
right?
Whether it be Airbnb, Turo, you know, like the Airbnb for cars, renting cars out and whatnot. And then I think there's another one called like Get My Boat, like the boats, and then even like outdoorsy for like RVs and stuff like that, right? So like around that whole space, there's a whole bunch of people right now teaching courses and stuff like that, you know, YouTube channels, like all talking about it. But it's crazy because I started this like years ago, right? And then now it's just like this big wave of like education about the space. So I think it's just gonna be like anything else. People gonna buy these courses, not finish them, buy these courses and get overwhelmed with the information, buy these courses and not have the money, or just not take action, period, you know? So it'll be just like anything else. You know, people gonna start, the ones that innovate and they want to see it through, gonna survive, and then the other ones, they're just not, you know? So it's like, it's almost like kind of like vape. In the vape business, I kind of stopped there for a minute because people start making their own juice, right? I had the premium stuff from Cali, and then you had people on base making the garbage juice, and everybody, they was wanting more for the small price. And then once that guy got burnt out, I was still the one there, consistent with my product, and I survived, you know? So it's kind of like that, as opposed to supply and demand thing, you know? Just being consistent.
Bro, that's all. So, that's all. That's pretty much like, that's like in business, man. That's pretty much what it is, man. It's the stamina. Some guys like and I had to check myself too, because when I first started, man. I mean, it was just straight. My relationship started getting affected by it because I mean, obviously, naturally, we gotta do what we gotta do to do that stuff. But we didn't have kids. Now we got 5 kids and everything, and so now I was going to extend my hours, but my hours are 9:45 to 1600. If you can't meet with me in that time when an appointment's set, we gotta meet the next day. And I get down. Well, I'm on mids. I'm on this. I'm like, hey man, you gotta, if you want to do this, you gotta get. I had a guy this hour ago drop his car. If he's going to work today, so I had of course. But the thing about it, he was like, oh man, I like, dude, I had the papers ready. He was in and out in 15 minutes. I'm like, all right, thanks man, everything's good. Car's turned in, vehicle was checked in. Go to Past 90, bring this back. I gotta go to actually 30 minutes. I gotta go to Past 90 and get at them because they did some stuff or whatever. So I gotta talk to them. But man, it's like it's people, like when they see my system, my process, they say, man. And every once in a while, I'll get one customer, hey man, how the fuck do you do all this by yourself? I'm like, dude, it's just timing, bro. It's just like I'm not around. I don't hang around and talk shit for no reason and do this and that, and I'm not out doing this, I'm not doing that. It's like I'm focused specifically on my family, which is my business, not yours. And then also my family stuff. I'm up 5 a.m. doing things or whatever, doing what I got to do while they sleep, and then they get up. I do what I got to do. And a lot of people are not disciplined. They want that. I think you see a lot on TikTok now and all that stuff. The glamour. They want the fast money, the fast results. I'm like, bro, it just really doesn't exist for most people. You know what I mean? It's just not. It don't work like that, and they don't want to do I could have been doing whatever I'm doing for 5 years, man. Now it's 5 years past, and I'm at a level now where, like, you know what I mean, it's only going to get bigger. And now I got money. It's just rolling in now, and it's just and also with the more money that rolls in, when guys come to my shop and see all those cars, it's like a no brainer. Like if I had like one car in my shop and I'm asking them to drop their car off for 6 months or 2 years, with someone who's been outside for 2 years, they'd be like, nah, man, I don't think so. But when I got another car that's worth $150K, this car is worth $45K sitting right there in front of them, they're like, all right, cool, man. Here's the keys. Let me know what's up. Here's the payment, and then that's my kind of line of credit is seeing what I got. So when you see all this shit here, it's like I could have stayed at the last shop and had cars gridlocked in there all next to each other, and customers like, oh man, you can open the door and hit my car, and they think it's stuff like that, and it's like, nah, man, I'm gonna go with somebody else, or so it's a process, and I mean, all the stuff I've been through, I think growing up, man, and then like kind of going to the military, doing combat, doing all that. That's why I'm firm, man, because I can confidently say, man, the average person I talk to hasn't done a fraction of what I've done in my life or what you've done in your life, man. And the stuff you're doing currently, like you're right now as you sit, dude, you're doing better than some like seniors and chiefs probably, man. And that's crazy to think, because people think a senior or chief in the military has his shit together. I know for a fact that ain't the case, because when I was at TAPS, I had a resume on the first day. My resume was done on the first day. They didn't even start or think about. And these are the fucking guys who are saying, hey, you gotta do this, airman, you gotta do that. Like, you ain't got a fucking resume, and you're a senior,
right.
You're a major, and I'm telling, and I got majors and chiefs around me like, hey man, what'd you use? I'm like, militaryresumes.org, $250. Send me EPRs, LOEs, LOCs, all that shit. Well, LOCs, you don't want to send them that. But the the LOEs, all your PRs and everything, dude. 2 weeks. Yeah. I had not 2 weeks. My bad. 3 days. I had a written resume targeted towards. I worked at the PAX terminal and then went up for Cubic. Done. Yeah. Done. $250, man. And and they didn't even think. I'm online Googling, and it's like, but that we're in the age that we utilize the technology. They're like kind of. Yeah, you got what's Facebook? The fuck is So it's it's crazy that I was the only guy there that had it, and like I say, man, you're by the time you get to 20, man, the money is not. I don't want to downplay the money and make people who are relying on that money, but that money is just like it's just a supplement, or not even. It's just savings or right into investments, and that's a great place to be at, man. And I just want to say, like, for that, man, for me, man, that's why, guys like yourself, we don't talk all the time, but I know you're out there. That's what keeps me going, man.
Oh, likewise. Like I say, I use you all the time in conversations, especially when it comes to like YouTube. Yeah. I talked to my dad about YouTube, and I got 3 younger sisters, right? Yeah. And so, they bounce around trying to figure out what they want to do, still not very, like stable-ish, And but they got stuff going on. Like, one of my sisters got a construction company. Okay. The other one got a construction company. My other sister, she a beautician, right? But as far as like getting to the point where they got passive income coming in without them having to get out there with the guys and make their money, they still trying to get a grasp for that, right? But yeah, I was talking to him about like passive income, like via YouTube, and he's like, tell me somebody who doing that. I'm glad you asked. Pinku's down, baby. Yeah. So just seeing like you, and then I got another guy that I know over in Okinawa, Benjamin. He got a capoeira gym. Okay. I met him before I met you back in about 2005, and he got a gym in Okinawa. Another black guy. So just between seeing y'all two, being disconnected from what we know to be the norm, right? In the United States, around family, safe and secure. You out in another place, by yourself with with your family that you formed by yourself. Mm-hmm. But like you're figuring it out in another country, in a foreign land. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so people have a hard time trying to figure it out in the United States, but you figured it out in another country. That's admirable, man. That kind of pushed me through. Out there on the line pushing and trying to figure out what was what. I got to figure this out. He about to quit his job. I need to figure out what it is, So you helped me a lot too. Yeah, man. I didn't even know, like, when in the process of me, like, it wasn't a negative situation, but it was just one of those ones where, I was doing my own tests, and then like stuff started getting like, like you mentioned in the beginning, crabs in the barrel, man.
And there was a particular guy who he actually smoothed it out and everything, but he kind of I started telling people slowly about my business, and then when he got rid of it, he didn't even. It's like it didn't even faze him. Like his face, I could just see, man. Like he wasn't happy. It's like, fuck is this guy? Like I've been here X many years, and he's only been here at the time like 10 years or 9 years. He's about to start a business, and then dude. One guy who I don't really deal with no more did tell me some stuff that really stuck, and I was like, all right, really? He was like, you're gonna lose a lot of friends, man. Get prepared for it. And the guy who told me that, I'm not even friends with him anymore because he kind of like he was taught like he was one of those ones that was in somewhat of the position to do things, and then when I met him, I thought he was doing more than what he was doing, but when he got shit pulled back, he wasn't doing as hot as he stated. And I asked the guy to co-sign for me. He was like, nah, man, let me see your plan. I don't think you're gonna make money. Fast forward 5 years later, he's lost 2 businesses, and I make more money than him. You know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things where, and it's not, your money is, you have to, it's not only making it. And I told my wife that, I'm like, bro, yeah, we just pulled in this much money this week or whatever, but it's already spent. You know what I mean? I know where this is going at. I'll kick you some pocket cash and everything, but we're not at that level where it's that money. I got to make that money work immediately. I got to take that money and buy this. And it's like you just keep leveling up until you start to hold on to some of it. And now it's getting to the point now where, once we pay all our monthly expenses, whatever's left over, taxes, you got to account for that. Start putting money to the side for taxes because that's going to come. Taxes all over the world. So getting to my Japanese wife to understand, man, like I was doing buzzer beaters. Like there was no money in the account, on the 28th. And then there was like $7K in the account the next day. And she was like, and I'm like, because I know what's going on. I don't got to talk to you about what's going on. I know I'm talking to the people who I need to talk to get paid, and we're working it out. What you got to do is take care of the kids, do whatever, blah, 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 wife stuff or whatever. Just do that for me, and we'll be good, man. And so the Japanese mindset, again, my wife would be, no shit. My wife would be happy, initially would have been more happy with me working at Lawson's than trying to run a business. Like,
should I say my shit?
Yeah, exactly. She be more. Japanese are more comfortable with you just doing that. And again, I'm not saying there's some people who some people are just happy drinking a beer every day after work and watching Wheel of Fortune, man. And if that makes them happy, that's great. But it ain't my life. That ain't my life. That ain't your life either.
Nah. Like what's that movie? What Squid Game that's hot right now? Everybody on the show, right? Yeah. Spoiler alert! Don't listen. At the end, the guy he's asking him like, why did they do this? Why did they do this? Right? And he's talking about how all his rich banker friends and everybody else, they get bored, right? Because they have everything, they've done everything, right? So they want to play one more last time. So like kind of like to that point, I'd rather like play the game than sit on the sideline and watch.
Right.
Like, even, like going to the track. I haven't done it yet, but I wanted to drift when I was in Japan. I just didn't get the chance. So when I first got there, it was off limits, and then by the time I left, it was off limits, but I couldn't do it. But I still want to do that. So when I go to the track, sometimes I'll be sitting there like, man, and buy your car, bro. So I'd rather do things than sit on the sidelines and watch. That's me all day.
Yeah, man, 100%. That's shit, man. It was coming from high school, going to college. I told the story a couple of times. I was when I went to the University of Maryland, and I got to college on the academic scholarship. So I mean, I was good. I captained 2 sports in high school, but when it came to football, man, early on, man, I just didn't. I would see guys stand at the practice and kissing the coach's ass, and I'm like, man, that's not. That's not me, man. I'm gonna go to practice. I'm gonna fill my gaps. I'm gonna hit who I gotta hit and do whatever. And I became the guy who just hit people. I wasn't a student of the game because I didn't stay after and study all that stuff. I knew how to play. I knew how to get to the ball, and that's what I did. And I blocked for people, and I made spectacular hits, knocked people out, knocked their mouthpiece out, and all types of shit. But that wasn't enough to kind of that D1 is like whatever. So I was like, all right, well, I got to do my academics because I seen a class before me, the guy who was running through everything. That dude was dumb as a box of fucking rocks, man. Like he couldn't he couldn't even get into a community college. This is how bad he was. But on the field, he was a guy. Everybody knew him. Everybody knew who he was, man. And I was like, nah, man, let me buckle down on this, man. Finish my. So I've been on a roll since like 7th grade because I failed the 6th grade. So that was like that hurt. So I was on a roll. I got all the honor society stuff and blah 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 whatever. And then I wrote a thing as to why I should get there. And I kept it real. I won an event, got a scholarship, $90,000 to University of Maryland. First year you can't play sports. That's the rules. I was like, all right, well I'll play varsity sports. My bad. So I played club lacrosse because I played lacrosse too. As soon as that day was over, I went to the house and walked on. I gave him a tape of me hitting people. That's my whole highlight tape was his hits. There was no. I scored 1 touchdown off a fumble, and I just hit people. And he was like, "All right, man, you're good. You know, you're good enough to be a practice dummy." And so I walked on. So I played with. I was Vernon Davis that year. Sean Merriman. I played with those guys that year. Dominic Foxworth. All those dudes were there, and then same thing out there, man. I'm like, man, I'm gonna do the same shit I did in high school, man. So they kept making us do dumb plays because people don't understand D1 football. The practice squad is live dummies. You can actually move, but you're a dumb. Go here and stand right there. He's gonna run right by you. I'm like, that's not what I would do. So you have to fight that urgency not to fill that gap. And then I got scolded because he's like, hey man, go where I'm telling you to go, not where you know you should know. Like it was hard, dude. And I'm like, you got ESPN over here and these guys over there, and this Sean Murray was getting an interview for, I'm like, man, I'm right. The pros is right here, man. So I'm like, man, fuck this, man. I'm gonna make my way. So they were like, the guys who like the starters and everything would kind of like, talk down to the walk-ons and everything. So I'm like, man, fuck this, bro. Nah. So I went out there. I hit the guy that nobody could hit. The dude named Sammy Maldonado, Sammy the Bull, they call him. I knocked the dude off his feet. I fell too, but I got back up. Sammy was on the ground grimacing, and one coach came over to me. He was like, "Hey man, don't do that again." And then like, "Hey man, that was good. that was a good shit, man. Keep doing it." So he yelled, and then when he got close to me, he whispered to me, "Hey, do that shit again." And and then right after that, man, that was around the time my grades got bad. I actually was at like a 1.9 GPA, and I was like, Coach Friedgen, man, I gotta bounce to get my stuff back, and because they were like, hey man, you're about to get the stuff pulled. So he was like, hey man, you can come back or whatever, man. And I just got depressed, dropped out, did whatever I did, went to the Air Force, and everything kind of where I'm at right now. So I made that happen, man. And it's just one of those things where a lot of guys, man, like they need to be told what to do, man. And like you say, your dad was telling you, hey man, you should probably do this, and he's like, all right, man, you're gonna learn on your own. And then you got to do that, man. So it's like you either learn the hard way by just experiencing it, or you just go and experience it yourself. And I think a lot of people, man, out there are not willing to do that, man. And as a result, man, I think they see like, all right, man, what if I fail? I'm like, what if you don't? You know what I'm saying? So it's look at Musk, look at that one picture that for Bezos, everybody keeps sharing around when he was in a little thing with a little Amazon banner right there and shit. You know what I'm saying? And now, now look at the dude, man, and I'm not praying because I got the way Amazon is running, I utilize it, but I don't really. I'm like, hey, man, you don't get to that level of money without fucking a lot of people, man. You don't, you know what I mean?
Hey, I think I shared a post the other day, and it said, your first 1,000 will be made from working hard. Your first 100,000 will be made from working smart. Your first 1,000,000 will be made from putting people in place or delegating people to work for you, hard and smart. So I mean, I posted and I saw it's cool, but then I actually thought about it and I was like, oh man, that's kind of where I'm at now. Like, what's that move gonna look like? And what business is that gonna be? I put people in place to do that. I've done it 15 years, delegating and working with teams and building teams and whatnot. So now this, I got 4 years to figure out what I think it's going to be. But that 1,000,000 coming, bro. It's coming.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, man. And then the thing about again, man, you're in a good place to do it, to make it happen, man. And it's just one of those things where like a lot of people don't a lot of people think it's overnight, but once they come into your realm, it does seem like that because everything is, you've already ironed out all that stuff, man. And like now the system with me exporting cars is like I got a team of people that I know about. We know each other. Nobody else needs to know them because dudes will come to you and try to get like, hey man, so who do you go through to get your to get started with? I'm like, man, it took me 5 years to find this dude. Like, I'm like, and people expect. I mean, you could give a little bit of assistance. I talked to a few guys that gave them like a few, not like obtuse, directives, but I'm not giving them like my system, dude. I work for that. I work to get my people, and also I gotta safeguard those people because if I introduce you to him and then you fuck this guy over for a lot of money, guess what? Now he's like, hey man, you gave me, and it happened already before.
Right,
with other businesses where I don't do that, but hey man, go check this shop out. And he's like, hey man, that dude you sent over here fucking was an ass pain, man. As a result, some guys, no shit in Japan, they feel like that's going to happen again, so they just want, hey man, we're done. And I lost a couple of relationships because of that, because I sent a customer there and they just did their thing, man. So it's like, you know what, I do it differently. And also, I know you know this too, man. I don't arm somebody with so much information that they don't need me, and then they tell somebody else how to do it. So the guy's like, hey man, so can you tell me can I stop by and pick your brain? And I hate that shit. Can I pick your brain and tell me how to ship cars? I'm like, nah, you can stop by, you can pay me by bank transfer, pay me when you drop the car off, and I'll take care of the rest. And I'll email you.
Hey, look. I remember that. I think I referred somebody to you online. You're like, now you can come pay.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it was like, and it's, the reason why, because that my first year I actually was doing that. My first year I was trying to appease people and get them in the shop and whatever, kind of going against my style or whatever. And I noticed they weren't coming back because I was telling them I was telling them how to fix it. And I'm like, hold up, dude. Like, nah, bro. Like, I don't. If you want to learn, go to YouTube. You can actually look at somebody halfway fix it, and find out. But like, I'm telling you, I'm gonna take your engine out. I'm gonna do this. I am telling the customer what I'm gonna do. So I'm not like drop the car off and leave. I have a meeting, 20-minute, 30-minute meeting before we turn it in. That way everything is gone over. And even though they don't grasp or retain any of that, we've talked. So I know we've talked.
Right.
Then I reiterated on the email, we're at this stage. Like the pictures. Again, man, my system is so solid. I can go back to my first customer, open up his folder and show him everything I did. And and I've done over, in 5 years, man, well over 500 people, man.
Oh wow!
And I got folders for every one of them. So when hey man, you didn't do this, like yes I did, dude. Here's the mark right there. So I don't, and I cover my ass, man. You learn that from the military. Hey, who didn't sign that shit off? Who signed it out last? So yeah, man. Yeah.
Dude, I got to get back out there.
Yeah.
So I got to take my back to Okinawa and show my son where he was born. Right, I got to take my dad out there to Misawa, Okinawa, and Korea to show him what's going on. But I truly, people just need to know that like self-employment is a thing.
Yeah,
it's as solid as working for a business or a corporation, right? Think about it. Like, why? It is amazing to me that people, it's so polarizing too. The conversation is polarizing. As soon as you mention somebody being free or working for themselves, it's like there's friction there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
100%.
Like, huh? I mean, I get it. We were taught a certain way, but I don't get why me telling you could be free, work for yourself, and do X, Y, Z should be free. Because if you work for yourself, you could do what you want to do when you want to do it. You choose when you want to work, who you want to deal with, how much money you actually want to make.
Yeah, you can throttle up, and it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And like what you like 100%, man. That right there sparked me so much, man, because I meet somebody like yourself maybe once every 2 years, man. Sometimes a customer come here, and I had one guy, man, he was like, no shit, man. He didn't actually go through me to ship the car, but he already had property. He was a finance guy, so he had, they don't do shit but fucking sit at the computer and fuck up your pay. And it's like, so he was. I'm like, man, I'm like, and I made a joke. I was like, hey, man, like that's why the people shit is messed up on the fight line because you're up here buying properties and shit. And he's like, yeah. So he's like buying. He's online with a VPN and shit on a government fucking.
Oh, that's why he didn't answer the phone.
Yeah, yeah, man. So like he like every once in a while, sometimes I'm like, yeah, just get him out of there. But I'm like, this dude's. I'm like, so I was like, hey, man, he's getting out. I was like, hey, man, I told him congrats first. And he's like, what? I'm like, man, because a lot of people when I got out, they were like, man, what are you doing, man? Like you can be a chief, you can do this, like because they knew my output as an NCO, and they knew they were losing. And I'm like, I mean, like, nah, bro, thanks for the words, but I'm like, I'm done, dude. Like, and then I had other seniors and section supervisors getting like salty, like, hey, man, you're 18, 19, 21 years in. My shit don't affect you, man. You got bullets. You can get bullets from all those other guys. You don't need my bullets, man. They're the same shit anyway. You're just going to compile them together and say you've done this many numbers. Well, you were sitting at a desk. We did the numbers. So you know how that game. That's a whole different. I want to talk about that shit, but yeah, man. A lot of guys, man, they just kind of when. And case in point, and I say this a lot. You notice when somebody on your timeline, and actually, I gotta say, man, I'm petty like this. When they be like, hey, man, I just got a new job, I don't comment on it or like it. Because I'm like, y'all the same motherfuckers. When I started a business, there was minimum likes on it. And when one of my people started a business, I'm like, dude, I love it. Hey, man, congrats on it. If you need any, whatever, hit me up. Let's talk or whatever. I'll give you some, like, whatever. And you see like 35 likes or responses on it. And my thing, I don't separate social media. Social media is an extension of you, man. So if you're on there being all negative and stuff like that, that's you, man. It's no such thing as you play a persona online. That was back in like the early 90s when the internet was like kicking off. Now you are you. Your profile name is Darius Ellis. You know what I mean? That's you. You know what I'm saying? So I don't. So when you ice me online, it's the same in person. Don't start talking to me when I messaged you 2 years ago. And this happened to me, man. 2 years ago, and I see a guy in person. Oh man, what's up? Like, nah, man. You can continue on. Obviously, I'm not on a level to talk to you, man. But when I'm getting off topic, a lot of guys, man, they never support that shit when you start your own business or doing your own thing, because it's like you said, they're programmed to say, man, we ain't supposed to be doing that. That's for Bill Gates. That's for Donald Trump. That's for X, Y, and Z. Like, hey, man, like maybe they did come from money and they had a boost start, but still he had to flip that. And people say that about Trump. Yeah, he did, whatever. But he had to flip that shit too. He had to flip and maximize that money. So it's like steroids. You can pump that shit in your arm and it sit there. You ain't gonna become fucking Ronnie Coleman like that.
Yeah. I think it was Dave Ramsey that posted, I think it's like 3% of people inherit their wealth, like millionaires, like nowadays or whatever. But most of them have been self-made. Right. And I can see it. Because if you at your job, they're only expecting you to do what they told you to do, right? So if you do more, cool, right? Or you get put in that category as an overachiever, right? Or you brown nose, and at that point, right? If you do less, or you just do your job, or you do less, then you are underachiever, so to speak, right? No recognition. Yeah. Right. Now, if you got your own job or you're self-employed, you got your own business, you can throttle that. You can work as hard as you want to work this week or today. Yeah. You can work as less as you want to, it's power in that. That's a good feeling, man. That's a good feeling. Yeah. That's a good feeling. And then, like, with that stuff right there, man, one thing is like, I would say, man, like you say, you're still in the military or whatever, but you already got your stuff going. So I would say at 5 years, you're out the matrix because you're still in there a little bit, the military obligation and stuff. And I respect that. Military stuff. I didn't. One thing, man, I want to make clear because it's probably some military people watching this. I was not salty or sour or whatever the military. Without the military, without meeting General Hester, PAC-F commander, when I was driving in Andrews, I wouldn't be here, man. So everything that I'm doing right now is as a result of doing what I did. So my military career was great. Not knocking it, but what I'm saying is the military is a stepping stone. So after you get out in 20 years, not talking to you, but talking to in general, when you get out, only people that care about that shit is your family and people we work with, man. Other than that, you go to Burger King and tell them you did 20 years ago. All right, man, so what you want, number 5? I don't fucking care about your 20 years. And you could be 20 years of SEALs, 20 years of Green Beret, all this stuff and everything. I've done a lot of, combat stuff and
all types of shit, man. And like people like, all right, man, so whatever. You know what I mean? They don't. It's like it don't really matter to that many people, man. So you can't rest on it, and that's what I think. A lot of those Chiefs, when I went to that TAPS, they thought that they were going to roll into the civilian sector, demand, because they were demanding at that section. Like nobody gives a fuck how many troops you commanded, and I just think a lot of guys with that, man, they just kind of don't really. With military guys, man, they don't. It kind of becomes like a game, and you got your BH is paid for. And I this is my personal pet peeve, man. And people can hate me. I dislike greatly when motherfuckers be like, yeah, man, we just moved into our new house and this. I'm like, dude, you didn't pay for that shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like they be straight fucking on Instagram, like in Hawaii with this badass house, which they ain't pay a cent for. And I'm like, dude, don't do that shit, man. Cause I know you can't lie to us. We know BH is paying that shit.
Right,
you know
right.
What I'm saying? And you know what I mean? That ain't so they need
now if they smart though, right?
Yeah.
Then hopefully they did buy it and that BAH is paying down the mortgage on that thing. And then if they PCS, now they can sell it. Now they didn't hopefully cop some equity out the sale.
No, I
didn't see that a few times too.
Well, with people I've seen, I know it. Like you got some other people in your circle, man, because the motherfuckers I've seen doing that shit. They just was like on that. They just want that thing where they trying to, and that's the worst thing I think, man, is people trying to, act like they got it more than they got it. And I tell guys, I'm not telling guys about the shop stuff. I'm like, nah, I'm like, dude, obviously it's 5 years in, I got enough cash to keep things floating. But like it's like you're staying open enough to get the next guy, and the next guy I got was 3 years ago. You seen the trucks I got? That was from meeting one guy. And doing one thing to flip that into exporting, and I make X amount of dollars per month on exporting, X amount of dollars a month on storage, and money that is like reciprocating. So that leads to maintenance jobs, and everything kind of plays. And like you said, there's going like wearing clothes ain't gonna go out of style, have somewhere to sleep ain't gonna go out of style, transportation ain't going out of style ever, because nobody want to walk from here to California. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The Carnival cruises and all that shit gonna come back online. So go ahead and put your shares on that shit. You know what I mean? Go ahead and put your shares on Spirit, Jet, like all that shit, because all that's going to come back up when a world unlocks. So don't, people going to try to buy 50 shares of whatever United after the world is released. It's too late. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You just got to be smart about it and look at the news and stay off the, again, man.
And then the other part of that too is, like, I remember we was back in San Antonio after graduating basic training, right? San Antonio was a pretty big, city, when I was there. And I went back for, the NCO training and whatnot, and they were still building. Now they're building these concepts where they have like the apartment building next to the shopping plaza and stuff like that, right? So like, it's because people will say, to your point about the stocks going up and whatnot, right? People will say, well, what somebody told me about Tesla, like how high can Tesla really go? When it was $35 a share, right? It was like, well, because Ford shares was only like $15 at the time. So you're like, well, how high can Tesla really go, right? Well, you could look at the history. Go back to when I'm saying like 7-8 years ago, see what it was, and then look what it got to before they split. It was in the thousands before it split. Now it's sitting around like 700-800, something like that, right? Yeah. So like just because something seems like it may be saturated in your first mind, like rethink it again, because airlines connect dots every year.
Yeah.
Right. People are traveling more and more every year. Right. So like that, the travel industry is supposed to get bigger. Like CEO of Airbnb said that I think we're going to, encounter like I forgot the wording that he used, but a good time for travel. Like travel is going to be like exponentially better than it's ever been. Yeah. Recovering out of COVID and whatnot. Right. Yeah. I'm waiting for that. But yeah, so I don't know. You don't not invest. If you don't invest, you leave money on the table.
Yeah.
Right. And then I was thinking about this too. So I gotta go back to the military conversation, right? So the military is probably the best thing I could have ever did, like coming from where I came from Chicago, right? And then the other day I was kind of thinking about this. Because we know that self-employment is a thing, right? You're working for yourself versus working for somebody else. I'm gonna put it to you straight up like this: if you got a college degree or not, work for Apple, Google, companies like that, the Fortune 500s, right? If not, you need to work for the government, right? It's either going to work for a Fortune 500 company or the government. Other than that, be self-employed. But all that other little stuff, don't expect to make no money in that.
Yeah.
Straight up. That's my take on it.
Like 100%, man. 100% agree with you. All you're doing, those jobs the other ones, all you mentioned, all you're doing is pretty much plugging holes in the ship that's sinking, man. You're just you're just plugging holes, and you're just keeping that job afloat, because you're expendable. Because if you crying about the wages or whatever, it's like, dude, well, what do you really bring to the table for them to pay it? And it's like, this people don't understand. Like, they look at McDonald's like, all right, I'm selling, which come like, no, it's a business, but they don't see it because they're at the lowest level, just handing people the burgers and taking the cash. That's what they're doing. They don't see. If you ask the average fucking all the employees at McDonald's, even the managers, because they don't pay it. Hey, how much does it cost to run the lights per month for the McDonald's? How much does it cost for the upgrades per month at McDonald's? How much does it cost for the flurry machine? Why is the milkshake machine always broken? Like, it's like they don't really look at all that shit, and that's why, like, I stopped myself because this in checking myself. When I first opened, my invoices were like, for like a medium job, were like 2-3 pages. I'm like, well, it's gonna be this much power consumption. Like, my one dude was like, hey man, you don't fucking tell no customer how much it costs, how much lights they're using, because they start, well, you said it only cost $35 last month, but why is it this much now? So you're giving out too much information. So they need to be educated just enough to understand they're getting the product, but other than that, the rest of it ain't their business. And you don't.
They need a need to know. You gotta have a need to know.
Exactly. Because when I hit up people for quotes, when the guy tells me it's gonna be this much to do that, okay, thanks, man. Now I'm adding my stuff on top of that. Then that gets to the customer. Hey, it's gonna be this much to do what we got to do. Take it or leave it. I don't need to talk to your wife, because I did that twice. Never again. I don't talk to wives. I don't talk to wives at all. I did that shit twice, man. And that didn't work good for me, man, at all. So yeah, it is what it is, man. But like I say, man, I actually got an appointment coming up and everything, man. And we definitely got to talk again, man, because I knew it's just so much more we can get into, man. It's just good to talk to you and talk to like-minded people, man. Because the average people I'm talking to mainly my family when I go home, customers. It's focused, so we're not really talking. And I don't like to get personal, and because they try to do that to play to get into your psyche. And I keep it bare, like, hey man, how's the day? Nice weather, blah blah blah. And this is what I'm gonna do, and see you later.
Right.
Because you start getting too comfortable, and from that, man, when once you got to pull somebody back in, you've already kind of lost them. And I made that mistake a few times. Like, once you do that, you got to go back and do damage control, and then let them know, hey man, this is how it's supposed to run, and this is how things normally run. And now, so they understand or they don't. And Facebook is, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff is great for promotion. But one thing you notice in my posts, it's always my email on there. I'm like, I don't want to do no quick questions, none of that shit over Facebook. Email me or we can't do business. And it's just one of those things where it's a filter, man. So if you don't want to email me, you don't want to do no business.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of like us, real quick. Like when we get reservations and whatnot, like I said, everything's kind of automated, and all of the stuff is already laid out. And so when I get that one guest that's asking a question, it's like either they didn't read,
right,
or they're not. It's a scam. It's either they didn't read or it's a scam, straight up.
Yeah.
So
real quick, man, because I want to give the guest the final talk. Because sometimes, man, sorry, but I look at the editing, I'm like, man, I was talking too much. But it's like, again, it's nice to, how it is, man. Talking in this, some business guys will sit in the room for 5. Steve Jobs, all those stories of them just sitting in a room for 10 hours. Nobody going to pee. If they did, they peed in a bottle, and they just talk. And now you got the iPhone. Now you got this, and you can call it what you want to call it. I got an Android, but I mean, they pretty much making a yearly subscription on phones, and people are buying into it. Capitalism, right, man. But like, what's your? Because I've heard so many different guys on it, and I want to actually ask you your opinion on it. Going out, guys who are looking to get into investing, would you tell them to go like for the companies that are like already up there established and put in on there, or mess with the penny stocks? Because I see everybody talking about different things. What's your opinion on the penny stocks, the low buying ones, versus putting 50 shares of something that's $1 or $5 now, or versus putting 50 shares on Amazon, Tesla? If you can do that, that's a lot of, whatever, or good 10 shares on Tesla or something like that. So what's your opinion on that, man?
I feel like when you first start out, you should focus on like large cap stocks, like well established things, right?
Right.
Because I use, for example, like when we were in high school, Google had came out, right? Now, even when Google first came out, the share price when they IPO'd was still pretty high. It wasn't like less than a penny or $3, right? And you can kind of see the things that are going to shine. Right. Even kind of like with Tesla, when Tesla first came out, it was about 35 a share. It wasn't a penny stock either, So there's a lot of good choices in the realm of like reputable companies. You want to start there, like reputable things. And I know I used the example about things that were new, right? That's kind of like at least my other point. Like, so even with not even touching penny stocks, you can still touch things that may be future or coming in the future. Right, without messing with penny stocks. Now, it's kind of hard, right? Because you look at like stuff like Vitamin Water and I think Monster and stuff like that. They were like penny stocks, and if you would have been there, you would have made some money.
Yeah.
No different than Kodak last year. Who would have thought that Kodak would have switched their business model, get a loan, and stocks shoot up, right? So you can't account for those rare things, and nor should you feel like you missed out on anything because that wasn't supposed to happen, right? But I recommend people when you're starting out to start with reputable things. That way you can see how investing works, right? And then once you start studying more and doing more due diligence, then you know what to look for when you're looking at those those penny stocks if you choose to go that route. But yeah.
Cool. Now I asked that question because I was one of to talk to somebody else that I actually know, and not a random guy, which comes saying the same stuff. And that's pretty much along the lines of Buffett, who anybody who's anywhere near investing knows who Warren Buffett is. And he said the same thing, man. He was like, he can, what are you saying? Something about cigarette butts, something like that. Like he can go around on the ground and pick up these cigarettes that got a little bit of tobacco in them and smoke them or whatever, get a little buzz. But you got to do that 55 times to get the hit of one cigarette, the one full cigarette. Right. And, that's the same thing, man, because I actually started over twice because I bought all these. I'm like, dude, my portfolio, the goddamn diversified things was like all slithered up and everything. And it was all, I was in everything, man. And I looked at it and half the shit wasn't moving. And I looked back at it, I'm like, man, I got I'm spread thin instead of putting all that. I could put all that in this one. And then I got I think I took it back and I put like about 3 shares on Tesla. And then, because shit I don't recommend doing, guys, are there, but I was in a situation where I actually I doubled that, tripled the money that I took out. You got to just put that shit in there and leave it alone, man. Like don't be tempted to pull that shit out and do for dumb shit. What I'm saying, guys, for to buy like a game or buy like a whatever, leave that money in there, let that shit grow. For me, I actually had a business venture that I needed the money I had in there. I pulled it out, but actually in the long run, I should have left that money in there, man, because I lost about maybe $5,000 or so. By pulling the money out.
Yeah. So when I first started actually like investing, it was a lot of things that led me to that direction. Mm-hmm. But like one of the biggest things it was a time where I used to go to the casino. And I played roulette one time. And I won big that night. I went back home, went to sleep, had a dream I won bigger, went back, tried to do it, lost all that money. Right. And so my favorite game at the casino was blackjack because you could stay on the table. Not blackjack, I'm sorry, craps. Because you could stay on the table a long time. Me and my mom went to Vegas one time. We was on the table for about almost an hour and a half, And so to me, craps is kind of like investing in companies, right? You're going to do well and you're going to make money in the meantime as long as nobody craps out, right? But the only difference is, because craps is obviously gambling, in businesses, there are telltale signs of a company going out of business.
Yeah.
Right? Negative balance sheets and, just bad business practices. You can tell there's things leading to that, that issue. COVID, you couldn't account for, so we're not gonna go there. But like anything else, you can kind of see. And so that's what kind of led me to like, diving heavy into stocks because my money gonna be on the table unless that company crap out.
100%. And like what you mentioned with the COVID stuff, that's actually because it's 2 years in. I the first when it kicked off, the first 3 weeks, I didn't really say nothing. Right, I just let everything kind of subside. Then when it became like this is going to be a permanent thing, and the max stuff started coming out, I did put out. I still got the disclaimers on my website. Hey man, like definitely check with me before you order anything because I got to check the time. So like one thing I noticed is like a lot of companies, even reputable, man, they just like they really leaned into it and it allowed them to widen their production windows. So if something that normally took 2 weeks, which legitimately took 2 weeks, now it's taking this long. One thing with me is like the car export. It's now taking 6 to 8 weeks to get a date on a boat. And this is not. And I put links up. I shared it. I got like 4 likes or whatever on it. You share some other dumb shit, you get 1,000 likes on it. But I'm showing guys the data right here from the actual news source stating why your ship is late because this ship can't afford fuel. This ship can't afford workers, so they parked them. So now they're down to 4 ships running all the cars back and forth between Japan and America. So that's why you got to wait 6 to 8 weeks now. Also, I don't care if it's a Testarossa, it's a used car. It has a Kia Sophia, brand new, has more value on the market than a used Lamborghini. Because that's a new car that's going to be taxed. That car costs $15K. That car is going to be taxed 25%. Your car, if you put the value at $105K, it's going to be taxed 3 to 4%. Who makes more money? The one that's going the Kia Sophia makes more money, and that's a bad example because Kia would never come from Japan because Japanese they don't really care for Koreans too much. But that's a whole different. You got it shit like that where people you got to look at when you playing. When I know you're in that level, man, you playing the stocks. You're looking at relations with companies, different things, and that's where you get deeper into it. The trend lines. Most people, the furthest they go, which the level I was at, or still am, is just looking at the trend lines and just going back and seeing where they were and what they're probably going to do and everything. But that's like, you got to have
that Fibonacci retracement and all.
Yeah. It gets deep, man. Yeah. So like to get to that, right now I know the guys like yourself and the other guys are just kind of sitting back chuckling at the overnight investors, which now you notice ain't nobody posting that shit. It was like that 1 month on Facebook, like Binance this and I downloaded them and like this and this and this and this and this and this and like now you don't see a single goddamn post online about anything until the Shiba Inu shit came out again, and then that went away for about 2-3 days. So all you guys did was sit back and laugh at all the fad investors. I just put it in because I didn't have no need to spend that stimulus money, and also the taxes. You can kind of do your thing on that stuff too, man. So it's way deep, man. Again, man, we definitely chop it up, man. I gotta get ready for this appointment, man. But
yes, sir.
Hey man, thanks for the time, man. And like what you don't realize, man, is I was like, I'm getting like I'm pulling knowledge from you, man, because a lot of people think they get, I got a business, whatever, and they feel like I'm there. I know everything. I know I got a good grasp of what I'm doing, very good grasp. But you never done. And there's always some out there who know a little bit more than you about some subject. So one thing that I'm definitely was thinking about a little bit, but definitely going to do is real estate here, man. I was, once I get some cash, I'm looking at some places, the little apartments that are not too run down. I know the basics of how to maintain them and stuff like that. Get them, and it's like I got $500 coming in from 4 families a month. You know what I mean? Add that up. You know what I'm saying? And that's just $500 a month, and it's so cheap that they can afford $500. You know what I mean? People didn't go ahead.
And I was hearing about them free houses they got out there.
Yeah, but those things are those things are so fucking far out of code, man. I'm talking about the pipes, the floors, it's like one of those things where like you can find like I got parts here that I got for $35 or whatever, but the cost of shipping would be $600, for example.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? I got engines that's $300 right now that I'm selling. But the cost for me to ship that engine to you right now in Arizona would be because I just quoted one guy, it would be roughly $3,800 plus tax.
Gotcha.
So it's like that. It's like it's $300, but so it's one of those things where that's where they're going. a lot of those houses, man, they've been, somebody dying them, and they don't sell. The Japanese are very superstitious. Actually, my house, I'm pretty sure somebody passed away in that house. Because my wife took a ghost feeder there and all that shit and everything, and I'm like, dude, I got an 8-bedroom house for $600 a month.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, man. But I'll buy it. I'll rent it. You know what I'm saying, and we about to buy it. I'm telling her, man, this rent shit.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 5 years now. $600 a pop, and I'm adding up 600.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm like,
the
nah,
math
bro.
don't lie.
It don't lie, man.
Math don't lie.
I show her. She didn't understand. I'm like, I show her, and then I'm like, hey, man, I asked him how much to buy this thing outright because the space is good. My kid, everybody got a room. I don't really need to move, so I'm like, hey, man, we can buy this. I want to buy this. I want to buy this house, and I'll pay the land tax $120 a year. Done. You know what I mean? So that's the move. And then also, I'm healthy, man, but some shit happens to me, man. The house is paid for. My family, they got somewhere to live. That's the shit that a lot of people, we don't want to talk about the wills and shit like that because you don't want to get morbid and you don't want to think about that because nobody want to really think about their demise. But man, that's his life. This is part of life. So it's like, that's where my thing is, setting my family up. So if something happens, man, they're good to go and setting those fail safes. And if I get, incapacitated, people know where the keys are to certain things or where the titles are to this car. So I got 19 customer cars here. And if I'm down and nobody knows where those titles are, then imagine the shit show that's going to happen, man, from that. You know what I mean? It's just not good there. So, yeah, man, we'll definitely chop it up again, man. We get some more time and stuff like that. And it's about 2 o'clock here in Japan. I know it's getting late over there. But, again, man, thanks for your time. And my final words are out there for guys again listening. Again, I get very excited talking about these type of subjects because it's there's so many people in the world. You feel like how are you going to make a difference? Like what are you going to do to make a difference? Starting this Airbnb is not going to make a difference, but when it's 12 o'clock at night and you got the QR code set up and dudes need somewhere to stay, they scan it to get the key. I'm not sure how it works. I know how it works in the gist of it, but somebody needs to stay there. And somebody needs a place to stay. And like you say, man, having a roof over your head will never go out of style because I don't want to sleep in the rain. Unless I'm in I'm in Mount Everest or the rainforest and something that I put myself into normally, then I'm going to be outdoors. But generally, everybody wants to sleep inside with heat and covers. So that's some good shit right there, man.
Yes, sir.
You got that, man. So, hey, man, again, thanks again. Hey, guys, be sure to send if you got any questions. If you want to be, if you're yourself a business guy out there listening, watching, or whatever, and we ain't hit on everything because it's impossible to talk. We've only been about 2 hours, so it's impossible to talk about everything that we've done in our lives and all that stuff. And it'll be 2 cumbersome. It'll be like an 8-hour podcast, man. But and that still won't be enough time to be honest. You know what I mean? But if you got any questions out there, to send them to podcast@pinkustyle.com. If you yourself are running a business or thinking about it, you want to chat with me and talk it up. Again, man, my podcast as of right now is open to whoever want to get on. So podcast@pinkustyle.com. Just send me a little bit about yourself, what you want to talk about. We can get in there and mix it up and everything. So again, guys out there, just be encouraged. If you're doing something new and it feels like it's hard, man, just get some rest and come back the next day. Like this business shit does not work in one day. Every day you got to chip away at it, and then you get better at it. You refine your processes, and eventually it runs itself, man. So the biggest thing out there is you're gonna have to settle sometimes. It's part of business. It's part of negotiation. But at the same time, don't settle too many times. And if you do that too many times, it ain't your business. It's everybody else's business and everything. So it doesn't work out for you. But again, guys, be safe out there. Due to the whole Corona stuff and everything, so we can get out of it and everything. Again, I just want to thanks to Darius for his time. And if you got any questions for me to Darius, let me know, and I'll get it to him. If you're thinking about doing Airbnb and stuff like that, again, like I said before, he ain't gonna give you all the secrets because he took that time and he read all those manuals. He talked who he had to talk to. So you can't look for everybody. You young guys out there, you want a fast shot and you want to get all the data. Like that's what we work for to do. We put our time in, and you were at the club. Darius was home reading that book. I was home reading the manuals. I was home reading all this stuff, and that's why we can do what we do, man. So you can't expect people who are in the positions where they are to give you all the knowledge. It's not going to work that way, man. So just be prepared to work, and you can definitely get where we at, and even beyond, and that's cool. You know what I mean? doing the deal. So again, guys, take care. It's gonna be Darius from Masawa Japan, Pinku Style Podcast. Darius from Arizona. We see you guys. Arizona, correct?
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
All right, thanks, guys. So one thing.